nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to San Antonio Soccer Roundtable, the high school version here. Before we get started with the introductions, I do want to give a couple of statements out about what's going on outside of San Antonio. First of all, thoughts and prayers to everyone in Ukraine. Stay safe, as safe as you can be. And of course, I'm sure most of us, here stateside, or all of us here stateside are hoping for that to resolve peacefully and quickly. The other news came out late this afternoon here. The starting goalkeeper, captain of the Stanford's women's soccer team, Katie Meyer, unfortunately passed away. She was 22, very young. I saw that she was born in the year 2000, and I was like, oh, well, that's way too young here. But so thoughts and prayers to her family, to Stanford University, and to all the players that she's played with, and and those that have played against her. As you can see on social media, she inspired a lot of young athletes out there. So tough way to start the show. Soccer plays a part in the game here, but joining me tonight, Rafa. How are you? You geared up, rested up from your travels last night, and geared up to go through some standings and some TAPS playoffs?
Yeah, well, I did back-to-back nights. I went to Monday night with a top game at Blossom, and then last night I was at the Spring Sports Complex for SAISD, so I got to see two exciting games. So we'll have another one on Friday, which we'll promote later on Thursday or early Friday. I'm going to keep that a secret, but it's a doozy of a game. So
also joining us, it comes from Vernia, but is going to be Captain Joe Cronzo, who served 22 years in the U.S. Army as a medical officer, and is now head boys soccer coach and a health science teacher at Vernia. So first of all, thank you for your service here, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second of all, as a Navy guy here, go Navy, beat Army, but that's just all in fun banter. But please welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us, sir.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the invite. I met Rafa out there, and so we talked a little bit during the Somerset game, and we started with a little hiccup, but after that, we pretty much just turned it on. Great group of kids that I have this year. We just went to work, and like I was telling Rafa, the last year when we kind of got bounced, I took them to the side and I said, hey, look, we need to get together. And we need to talk, and we need to plan this out. I didn't like it, and if you didn't like it, then you're going to be on my side. And sure enough, we came up with a game plan. Everybody pretty much executed exactly what my vision and mission was, to be able to do this. Because every time you fail, you got to go back to the drawing board. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did, and they all come on board. And look, now the way the team is playing, I mean, it's because of them, and thankful to the parents as well for being able to see it the way we wanted to go forward with this team.
And I know you coach the boys here, and I'll ask this question here, and then Rafa can go in with his questions here. But the boys are having a very successful season, but also the girls soccer team is I think third in their standings and looking right for the playoffs as well. So. For Vernia, how is it that both the boys and the girls teams are doing doing very well along those lines? So how's that kind of affecting the school spirit and stuff that's going around Vernia High School at this time?
It's great. The community is great around here. They're very supportive of everything that we do. But the new coach that came in, Coach Amador, I mean, we have a connection as far as like soccer. And when we came in, we came up with a plan as well. It's like, hey, it's not just boys soccer and it's not just girls soccer. When I have time, I help him out. When he has time, he helps me out. It's all about trying to move the program forward, and not just high school, but also be able to project it onto the junior high. So that way we can start looking at new talent that is coming up. And I think that's very helpful, because once you plant that seed and the kids start liking, the sport and stuff, and we're a football town. We're not going to lie. Football's king in Texas, but we got to compete for to try to get some of those athletes that are out there, and then try to turn them into soccer players. And it's very receptive of the community and the players and the school and everybody that kind of supports us. Him and I have worked great with both programs, and then I think that's what's led to a lot of the success that we're having here. I mean, he's done a fantastic job since he arrived here to the school, and we don't like I said, we don't compete. It's boys against girls and anything like that. It's one team, one fight, and that's just the way we see it.
And being on one of the newer programs, considering the area, just that turnaround to get to have that success. What are some of the things you implemented when you came on to the program, as far as to kind of get the boys motivated and get them to right now leading the district right now?
When I first came here, it was when I first came here, they told me, hey, I wanted to be the soccer coach. At the same time, I was just come pretty much out of the military. And I had to, okay, well, we're going to start these programs. Can you start both of them? Because I'm also the health science teacher. I have a nursing background. So starting up their medical program here, I pretty much started both of them almost at the same time. So when I came to these athletes, I had a lot of athletes that were playing soccer and stuff, but outside of soccer, there really wasn't anything really wasn't a lot of stuff for them to do. So I just started telling them, hey, let's do other things like 7v7. Let's join clubs, try to get the ball rolling around. Because in a lot of communities, you have these soccer players that are athletes, but they only play during the actual UIL time. That's about it, 3 or 4 months, and that's it. And after that, it's on to the next sport. But I tell them, if you want to be a good soccer player, you pretty much have to, play year round. And a lot of these successful teams that I scouted, and I talked to some of the coaches and stuff, a lot of their teams, a lot of their players, they pretty much play year round. So that's what I was projecting onto some of the kids, and slowly like that, we're building up the program, not only at the high school, but at the junior high as well, where our junior high program, sometimes you would see 70 to 80 boys and girls coming out there to try their best and compete and stuff like that, and try out for slots. Because we tell them, because we have a small program, but it's a successful program. It's also very competitive. Say, hey, if you're good enough as a freshman, we'll let you play at the varsity level, and then sure enough, and never fails that we do have some kids that'll play as freshmen on our varsity team.
Yeah, and I know being with a 4A program, numbers is it's a big deal. How are you able to attract a lot of the players to kind of build your numbers there for your program? What are some of the things that you've been doing to attract numbers to try out and be part of the team?
Yeah, we start looking at them at the junior high level once, because our junior high program, because we started expanding that. Now we don't have a junior high program per se where we compete against other schools, because a lot of the schools are already in competitive mode, whether they're in the fall. We have it in the spring, right after the state tournament, and it only goes for about a month. So we do have like maybe one school that'll have one game against us, but other than that, it's intramural. But even at intramural, you'll be able to see some of the talent of some of these kids, and then you pull them to the side and you say, hey, what is your sport? Some of them, if they're undecided, a lot of times, hey, look, you have talent. Why don't you give soccer a try, and come over here, and we'll try to train you, or we give them tips, and or we'll tell them, hey, look, maybe let's do the 7v7. The girls been doing the 7v7 a little bit longer than the boys, but the boys have picked it up, so it's been working well. We track the boys by being able to see what sport they're in, and a lot of times, they'll have a feel for it, and if they like it, they continue, and hope. And we always hope that a lot of the kids stay. Now, we're not like you said, we're not a big program, so we only have a varsity. We don't have a JV, so it's all because of numbers and stuff. But what we have is very competitive. So don't let's not make that error that just because we're a small team, we're gonna be pushed over. So what we have is is gonna be out there, and they're gonna fight. They're gonna play.
That's good. As far as with your team, like as the makeup of your team, like I said, I went to the game against Somerset. What really impressed me is just with them touching the ball and the communication with the players. You mentioned you went down early, but you were able to come back. Kind of shook that off and basically took control the rest of the way. What are some of the things you really work on with your players during your practices to get them prepared for the games?
What we do is we do some rondo drills at the beginning. A lot of times we work very small as far as like foot skills, ball juggle, and then we progress a little bit, small sided games, and then we 1v1s, 2v2s, and then before you end the training, we're pretty much having like a 10v10 or some stuff like that. But we practice a lot with possession play, passing, and communication. So that way your first touch, for example, if I pass you the ball, I want you to be able to open the gate, be able to receive the ball without it bouncing so far away from you, to keep it kind of close. During the Somerset game, I think that there was a little bit of jitters and stuff. But once they settled down, unfortunately, that goal is what kind of settled down. I'm like, oh shoot, and then we're behind now, so let's get this together. I can see from the game before that to that one, and of course the one last night, we're passing the ball relatively quickly now. It's like we're moving faster now, where it's moving from one side to the other side, back to the center or the back. We're playing it back, so it's a lot of possession play. And I tell them it's like the W effect. If you can't score, bring it back. We'll replay it again. We'll go in. If we can't score, we'll bring it back, and we'll go like that. And eventually, it'll go in. It's like water. It's gonna find a way to get penetrate through. And then luckily it's been working. So we do it repetitively, almost with every single practice that we have.
Well, one of the players that really stood out was your striker, your center striker. He had a hat trick of that game.
Correct.
He really and he could have had even more goals. I know there was some that he missed near, over the bar. I know he was unlucky on some, but he's probably one of the best players I've seen around in the area. Can you tell me more about him and just I know you talked a little bit about him at the game, and like I said, he really caught my eye on that for that game.
No, he's a sophomore, Cameron Martinez. I mean, he's a tall kid. I mean, he's a striker. When I met him, when he was junior high soccer, I mean, a lot of kids, when we were out there passing the ball, you can tell he had skill. He came last year, and yes, he was a striker as well. But when you're putting a freshman up against a senior, it's the coordination is a little bit different. He was getting pushed around a little bit too much. It's because of physicality, and it was something that we knew was going to happen. Over the summer, we did a lot of running. They did a lot of cross country training. We hit the weights pretty hard, so he built some muscle. And now, if you look at him now, he's not a pushover as much no more. So now he's a little bit more dominant. He's probably getting about 10, 15 pounds worth of muscle now. He's faster now because of cross country, and as you can see, he pretty much plays year round. So he's done a lot better. And like I said, he's only a sophomore, so he's only going to get better.
Yeah. Well, what impressed me was that when he got the hat trick, that on that header off of that corner kick, he really jumped high and really placed that ball into the net. And like I said, and that's rare to find. Like I said, these days, as for a player like that, and
Correct.
that if being a sophomore, he's only gonna, like I said, he's only gonna get better. So I can only imagine him being as a senior. And
Correct.
I'm sure a lot of these the colleges are going to be looking at him and say, hey, this, maybe even the pros, maybe SAFC, maybe take a look at him,
Yeah, there you go. I mean, he started off phenomenal at the beginning of the season, and then he pulled his calf, so he had a strain right there. So it sat him out for about a month. So during the first round of district play, some of the teams didn't see him until they saw him coming back. So we did. Yes, we lost 2 games, but during those 2 games that we lost, he wasn't in the pitch. So what could have been, but now he's back, and then he's going at it. And I told him, look, if you feel a twitch, like a little pull or whatever, I'm gonna pull you out, because your health is more important, than me trying to win a game, and I'm gonna jeopardize you tearing it even more, or you're gonna miss playoffs. So I said, for right now, you're gonna sit down. And no, he's been very receptive. Good kid, very respectful. He, like I said, he's really busted his butt during the summer in cross country training and stuff, weight training. I mean, he'll hit it. He's one of my projected captains for next year as well. As a matter of fact, I talked to him about this afternoon about that.
But Harry, your mic's off.
Oh, okay.
Coach, you mentioned that you served in the military and retired. How did that prepare you for coaching soccer, and how do you get your passion from soccer? Just listening to you, I'm ready to go to the pitch and try it out right now. So just how did you get into high school soccer and kind of the passion behind the game?
It's my kids, because when I was in the military, we would be bounced around from base to base, and my kids love soccer, so I put them in soccer. And of course, there were some places that we would go. They were in need of coaches, and I couldn't put myself in there because, of course, I was working and stuff, and I had played it. But then, of course, once you somebody tells you, yeah, go ahead and try it, and this and that, and then of course they kind of suckered you into it, and then before you know it. Yeah, I was. I started off coaching my girls, and of course, doing all the D1, D2, Super 2s, all that stuff, and Stysa, and then all these little clubs, and the Fire, and then the Lions, and so that's just the way it went. And of course, my 2 boys, I did the same thing. I was able to coach them here at Vernia, but that's pretty much how it started. And of course, the passion just grew of coaching itself, because I knew I couldn't play it no more. So I figured that my passion would go into coaching to teach kids exactly what I went through and what to do. Now, from the military standpoint, to be able, when I got out, I did the same thing that I would do with my kids. Say, hey, look, if you're gonna come onto this pitch, you're gonna come onto this team, you're gonna give me 100%. I tell the boys, I don't give hugs around here. All right, I'm gonna work you, and you're gonna work. All right, because it is one team, one fight. We're only as weak as our weakest link, stuff like that. I'm tough on them, and I tell them I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to tell you you're a good player or you're having a good time, a good practice if you're not. So I'll pull you to the side, and we'll try to fix things, and hopefully everything will turn better. And for the most part, everything does. I've never really had any issues with any players or any teams. We've been successful. Thank God, since I've been here at Vernia. So that just it just goes to the type of the players that we have here. And again, I have to say that thanks to, of course, the administration, some of the coaches that kind of helped me out, the parents, the community. I mean, that helps a lot around here, because I just can't do it by myself. So yes, I can train them and stuff like that, but there are some times where I do need those parents that, hey, when I tell them, hey, can they be here at this hour? Can they be in 77? Can they be in it? All that stuff. And they're very supportive. They're awesome.
So a lot of that Army discipline's gone to the players. That's
correct. Yeah. There are some times that every once in a while we'll go out there and we'll sing cadence as we're running, You know, we do our mile Monday, 2 mile Tuesday. So we're running. And like I said, I had one of my ex goalie that went to UTSA. He's an ROTC over there. He always loved when we would run and do cadence and stuff. So, and not only that, I think some of the recruiters kind of like it because when they find out I'm Army and I'm, they try to like tell me to try to talk to some of the boys to get them, become recruits for them and stuff like that to put them in. So I've also helped them out by putting some people in the military. I give them the pros and cons, and and they're the ones that make the final decision. Just like my kids, they always tell me, "Hey, how did all your kids become Army officers?" And it's well, I tell them the pros and cons, but the decision is really up to them. That's just the way it is. And luckily, like my 3 girls are 2 of them are captains. One's a lieutenant. My son is going to graduate from UTSA. He's going to be an officer as well. And then my son, he just finished AIT basic training, and he'll be going to ROTC at UTSA. So I'm just fortunate and lucky, that they be surrounded from with good individuals.
Having that good role model, like I said, for the players of that, and that's going to really help them in the long run, especially once they graduate and go on to the real world and so
Correct.
forth. Yeah. So
yeah, I love my boys. I mean, those are my boys. I said, all my boys. I mean, I take care of them. I mean, I have to. It's like a passion, But the coaching thing, that's like any other sport. Basketball, volleyball, whatever. You're gonna put in some hours. And those kids are gonna, we call them kids because we don't, we feel like they're our own. We have to take care of them, because yes, you have to train them. But at the same time, you got to be a role model for them, and you got to tell them the pros and cons about life. And sometimes they need some guidance sometimes, And I've had some parents where they'll tell me, hey, I'm not getting through to him on this level. So I'll take him to the side and I'll explain it my way. And maybe sometimes it works and, sometimes it doesn't. But, it's good to be able to talk about my boys all the time. So when you invited me on here, it's like, yeah, of course I come here. I want to brag about my boys. They're mine. I love them. I mean, they're great.
Now going into, like I said, right now you're in the middle district play. How do you feel as far as the other teams that you're playing in the district? How do, like I said, when you go up against them and so forth, like some of the teams on there?
Yeah, we had. Unfortunately, we had a tie early in the season against Fox Tech where they just surprised it. They came out, believe it or not, there were 3 goals. We were 3-0. And then we came back and tied it up at 3. And then they scored 1 where it made it 4-3. And then the boys, they just, they tied it up. And that tie kind of set us back just a little bit, only because Pleasanton is right on our heels. They're 3 points behind us. And I told the boys that if we lose, then we'll be tied, right? So we can't falter winning our last 3 games. We have Hondo this Friday. They're not a pushover team. They have a pretty good striker up there. I think we have a pretty good game plan for that already. And then we turn around and come back Tuesday, and we play during our spring break. We play Uvalde. And then our last one will be the following Monday against Poteet and stuff. And then before we go into playoffs. But Pleasant has been pretty good. They've been on our heels. But we're very eager to try to bring the district title back. It's been about 3 years already since we had it for about 3 years in a row. And we're just looking forward to it. We set goals every single season. And our goal this year was to be able to stay up on top as far as the try to get a tournament. We came up a little bit short on one of them, actually on 2 of them, where we got second. And then now is, of course, we look forward to getting district. So hopefully we can get that. And, of course, go a little bit further than we did last year. Because last year we went to the first game and we got bounced on that one by Gonzalez by 2-0. So we hopefully to improve this upcoming year.
How do you stack up against them if you do face them again, like Gonzalez? Because I know kind of follow them a little bit from last year. That they've had some decent teams. Any teams maybe besides them,
You know what, Gonzalez? I remember them that we played them some years back, and they had a really young team, kind of like we did. Because when I talked to that coach that used to be there, he said, "Yeah, I got a bunch of freshmen and sophomores," and well, we played them and we beat them handsomely. But after that, it's just like they all clicked. They all grew up together, and they've been a really good team. Last year they kind of shocked us because I thought that they had lost some players and we thought we were going to do pretty good. Mistakes kind of got us, and they ended up scoring 2-0. But this year, even though they're at number 4, I believe right now. I mean, I told the boys, hey, don't get stuck on records and stuff, because especially Gonzalez, because they kind of been our Achilles heels lately. So if we meet them again, of course, that'll set a good tempo, and of course it'll play on the boys' minds that hey, we want to make sure that we come at them pretty strong this time around. But they're a great bunch. Gonzalez is really good. I mean, they kind of play like us. There's possession play. I mean, they had a really good keeper. I remember a couple years ago, but I know he's gone and stuff like that. But some of the tempo that we played them last year, they still kept on going about the same thing, a little bit slower, but the whole possession play that they have is pretty good still.
I think the one game maybe I'm kind of looking eager to hopefully maybe you guys to play is against Vernia, the defending champs. And like I said, I think you guys do like stack up really good with them, and because I've seen Vernia play. Like I said, I think it'd be an instant classic for here in this area. Like I said,
yes.
You guys have checked them out.
Yeah, Vernia, of course, if we would have beat Gonzalez, we would have gone to and played at Vernia. As a matter of fact, their coach had called me and was already kind of setting, making plans and stuff, but unfortunately we got bounced and stuff. For us, we would have played them, but they're a really good team. I mean, you can't take nothing away from them. And even if they have a bad season, they're the defending champs. Everybody wants to go at them. It's just like Pleasanton for our district. I mean, they're the defending, district champs, and we want to bring that title back and take it away from them. But no, we've been working really hard at trying to regain the status that we had as far as when we went 3 district championships in a row. Be able to work on the pitch, be faster, be quicker, possession play. That back line is working pretty good now, where everybody moves as a unit. There's a lot of offsides, that we're producing, which kind of frustrates some teams. So, I mean, I have a great senior out there, Mason Mahouse, who controls that back one. I mean, like I said, he's the only senior that I have on the team that's playing. I only have 2, and he's one of the starters. So, we're hopefully that we can meet up with them. I think the forecast was that they're at the bottom bracket though, so we won't probably meet them till way later, which would be good. That would be awesome to be able to see them.
That'd be an interesting game to see.
Correct.
In the playoffs.
Yes.
And then as far as for maybe like kind of looking forward next year, realignment. Did realignment any affect you guys as far as maybe what you foresee for next year?
Well, the realignments already showed up for the other sports. They haven't quite come up for us. But when I was looking at some of the information on UIL, and I happened to click on the soccer one for UIL, and then all of a sudden I saw Hondo in our district. I called Coach Amador, and I was like, "Hey, did Hondo come in our district?" And they just appeared. So and I'm like, I guess they did. I didn't know there was a realignment or anything like that. So they just popped up. So we called the AD and they said, yeah, they're gonna play next year. But no, if it's gonna be realigned and if it's gonna be close to what like volleyball and the football and stuff like that, I think Gonzalez will probably be with us. I think we're losing a few other teams, but gaining a few of them. I think maybe Kennedy and Memorial will fall under us as well, because I heard that they're dropping to 4A. But my plan for next year is to play in the preseason bigger teams and bigger tournaments, a bunch of just 5As and 6As and stuff like that. So that is the plan for next year for preseason. That is because of course if you want to be the best, you got to try to compete against the best. So that is our plan, and the boys are all for it. I did that a couple of years ago, and they fared pretty well and stuff like that. So I try not to play teams more than 2 or 3 times because I want to venture out there to see the different styles of plays, different towns, different schools, different different everything. So because when I first got here, we had played this team like 4 or 5 times as it was in our schedule. I just came out of coming out to the school and came on to here, and the schedule was already set. And it was like, well, wait a minute, why are we playing this team like 3 or 4 times? I mean, it's like, can we change this up? And I was coming from coaching club and coming onto the UIL, so I really didn't know how things worked because I was still learning. But if I know what I know now, of course, I would have dropped and changed a lot of those teams and stuff like that. But that's my thing, to go out venture out a little bit more. Like we go to Salado for a tournament. We've gone to Austin, Burnett way out there, a little bit close to the Houston area, down to Corpus. We're putting a little bit of miles because again, I want to be able to venture out instead of just staying here in the SA area.
Rafa's a fan of that. I'll just leave it at that.
like me and Harry get into it. We talk about playing a tough pre-district schedule. Yeah. Any team, any kind of dream matchup you would like to schedule? Any team that you would, hey, you know what? I like to play these guys to see what we're made of.
My girls, they played for Judson. And so I've been trying to get Judson to, hey, let's play. Hopefully they're watching. So, send me an email and stuff. But I would like to, yes, of course, when it comes to 6A, I would like to play Judson. I would like to venture out a little bit further out. I would like to, of course, play just like you play your hometown. I'm from the Valley, so I would like to play Los Fresnos. They're 6A as well.
My dad was from Cronzo. He's a Hanna.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. So I would like to venture out. I had a buddy who was coaching over in Padre Island, South Padre Island over there in Port Isabel. But he left. He was ex-Marine who was coaching their soccer team over there. But he left, and I had called him. I said, hey, let's schedule something, so that we can give me an opportunity to travel over there, and we can play and stuff. But he left, and I had told him what I wanted to do to venture down to the Valley and play my alumni over there. But, I haven't reached out for that one. But, yeah, I would like to, like I said, my first one was that came to mind was Judson. They're kind of close and stuff like that. So
I do know they have that Progreso tournament down there.
You know what? When I first got here, every time we would go deep in the playoffs, Progreso was always our Achilles heel. We couldn't get past them guys. The first year I was here, my son played for me, and the group of kids that we had. I mean, when I came on in that July, that same month, I had lost a player to a car accident in Mexico, and he Miguel de la Torre, and the kid was phenomenal. I always call him the greatest player that I've never coached. Everybody talked about him highly, and a great player. They said he was like a man, playing on a boys team. That's how good he was. But we dedicated that season to him, and we took it to Progreso, and at the early part of the game and stuff. But we came up a little short. But every year we would, like I said, that we would go into the playoffs and go deep. Progreso somehow they would find the way to come out. I mean, we went to Corpus and we were up 2-1, and I told the boys, hey, look, just because we're winning, it's not over. I mean, these guys have been up there already to state. They have a resume. They'll find a way. And then sure enough, somehow they found a way and they end up beating us. So yeah, Progreso is one of those that, they're a good team.
No, if you do play him, hopefully you can bring him up here when the coin flip and bring him over here.
No, you know what? I always have my AD when we go into playoffs. I don't do the let's meet halfway. I was like, yeah, you know what? If you're good enough to beat me, you're good enough to beat me here, or I'm good enough to beat you at your hometown. You know, so that's just the way it is. So I always flip. I don't like doing that halfway thing unless I think I've only done that the halfway mark. I think only once, but. Yeah, they came all the way over here, and so when I always have my AD, I always called him my lucky charm. I was Coach Tabor at the time. I tell him, "Hey, flip for me, Coach," and he almost won almost every one. So he said when he won against Progreso, the coach was like, "Oh, dang it, now we got to travel." So yeah, they traveled up here, and they arrived and stuff. They brought all their they come in their luxury buses and stuff. Where some schools come in school buses and stuff, But hey, it's like one of the coaches say, "Hey, coach, you guys got big guys over here, for football, but you go down there, it's all about soccer, So it's the other way around. So, but yeah, we're trying to turn it around over here. We're trying to compete over here, and try to bring soccer to La Vernia, to our little town and stuff like that. But slowly but surely, I'm telling you, it's growing. Some of the kids, as a matter of fact, one of the parents had contacted me like years ago and said, "Hey, we got a bunch of little kids that are doing club right now. They can't wait to start playing varsity." And then before you know it, here it is. These are them. These are them that arrived last year, and sure enough, they have a dream like I have a dream. We want to push, and their job is to train hard, to push hard, to pump more steel, to run faster. Mine is, of course, is just to train them and try to keep up, because soccer has changed a lot. It's not just about hey, go kick the ball, and on the net and stuff. And now it's about technique and stuff. It's the easiest game, but it's very complicated. Because you have to do other things as well. And it's not just, like I said, it's not just about rolling the ball and just kicking it.
Any questions, Harry?
No, like I said here, thank you for spending, it's about 35 minutes here with us, Coach. Like I said here, it's, you got me all excited for La Vernia, and we'll be rooting for you.
Yes.
In the 4A districts, and like I said here, I tend to go for the smaller schools. Rafa's, the big name schools. So when it comes to bracketology, we'll see if we can press that button a couple of times to keep.
Yeah. Anytime, and thank you guys for inviting me. And you come over here, just send me an email. I'll set you guys up with some tickets and stuff. And it's awesome. I really appreciate this opportunity to be able to brag about my players and stuff, and about the school and everything. But
and don't sleep on Hondo. Me and Rafa made the trip out to Hondo earlier this year, and that was their first victory in district.
Their first district win.
And like I said here, so they do have some talent, and like I said here, the Hondo crowd, like I said, turns out and supports someone just like La Vernia does for there. So I came from a small school, so I love the small town feel, of where the community comes and support. It doesn't matter what the sport is; the whole community comes in and supports the players. So
that's why I love it here, because the community around here is very embracive. They're awesome. I really appreciate these guys.
Rafa, any final thoughts for Coach before we let him go, so that way he can either grade some papers or get home with the family?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a pleasure talking to Coach, and like I said, we look forward to seeing him, in the playoffs, and good luck to you. Hopefully, you do win the district title, and like I said, hopefully, I can have an opportunity to head out there to La Vernia and do a live stream. I know I did one.
There you go.
I get a chance out there, and
we'll make it happen. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right.
All right. That was Coach Cronzo from La Vernia High School. Like I said here, dude, I'm fired up. I ain't lying.
Like I said, I'm excited about the team because, like I said, I did get to see him play, and honestly, they've really turned it up a notch. And I said, I think there might be that sleeper team for 4A. If I'm Bernie, I better keep an eye out on them because the players that they have, especially their center forward, they can do a lot of damage. And so I think I won't be surprised if they make it to the to the regional tournament down in McAllen and be one of those Final Four teams. And hopefully they get that monkey off their back and knock off Progreso or Hidalgo, and maybe have a Vernia regional final, which would be great.
And I will say this. I know we had the boys coach on, but I do want to emphasize that the Lavernia girls are also having a very successful season as well. And it was really encouraged that, both sets of the coaches work together and encourage both sides along those lines. And that's something that I hope we see all around, not only here in San Antonio, but, throughout all high school programs that both coaches are working to improve all of the soccer players, whether it's boys or girls. And I have a feeling if they have some shared practices, those are probably some pretty fun and heated times, we'll in a good way on the pitch, because it does sound like, both the boys and girls of Lavernia, for the Bears, they're going to make some noise in the playoffs. The question is just how far.
Yeah.
So transitioning from Lavernia here, do we want to, we'll start off with the schedules here or promote the standings here. We'll switch because TAPS is in the middle of the playoffs here. So we'll kind of briefly catch you up on that. And then we'll come back to the UIL standings here because obviously TAPS starts earlier. So their season finishes earlier. So for that here. So just kind of getting started here. These are, per Rank 1 Sports, which is where the TAPS website goes through. The standings are final. So Central Catholic, won the Division 1 District 3 boys, with an undefeated. Antonio, finished a strong second. I was a little surprised about SA Christian, being 1-5. Any thoughts on this one here? I know we probably want to go a little bit quicker than normal since we're going to have playoffs.
Just really quick, you got to give it to Central Catholic. They had a rough start. They had a really rough start, and honestly thought that Antonio this was their year to knock them off. And Central Catholic took care of business and ended up going 6-0 in their district play and getting that district title. So that was a surprise there. Everybody kind of thought they were left for dead, but they were able to get back on track and win the district title.
District 2, Division 3, St. Anthony's TMI, which is still alive in the playoffs, finished the highest, for San Antonio. St. Mary's Hall, unfortunately, missed the playoffs here as well for that here. And of course, Geneva had a rough year on the boys' side here. The girls' side's going really strong. But on the boys' side here through here. So we'll get into TMI a little bit later because they are one of the last remaining San Antonio teams still playing here for that here. District 3 boys, District 3 Region 5 boys. John Paul II, tied with Our Lady of the Lake Hills as through there. And the Atonement made the playoffs here for that here. Looking at the girls, SA Christian Lions, and the Antonian finished were the top two in the District 1-3 girls for that here. Surprisingly, I think SA Christian got the district by I think there were 2 out of 3 games very close that they played Antonian because their first game got canceled out. So. And I know we kind of talked about it last week when we did the rankings here. Thoughts on SA Christian and Antonian?
Like I said, that was basically a dogfight between those two teams. Like I said, coming down to for the district title, and then probably were also 2 of the favorites and going to the TAPS playoffs for that region.
District 3, St. Mary's got in at 4, and Hyde Park also got in. At 5 here, and Geneva, got the second spot here. And like I said here, this district in the TAPS playoffs is showing that, it was one of the tougher districts, when it comes to TAPS here, and we'll get into that here in a second here. And then District 4, John Paul II Guardians finished with 22 wins, undefeated in the district, which was one of their goals. The Atonement Academy and then Holy Cross of San Antonio made the playoffs here. Looking at the playoffs here, let's see here if I can blow this up here a little bit here. So looking at TAPS Division 1, it's already set for the Final Four. You got the Convent High School versus Convent Christian Academy, District 1, Region 1, the first and the second place players, sides over there. And they've been, Cohen's been pretty convincing, winning 7-0, winning 5-0 along the lines, for that here. And then on the other side of the bracket, John Paul Catholic High School out of Region 4 or District 4, Region 1, is going against Cypress Christian. Looking at Cypress Christian here, they seem to be the winner of District 3, Region 1, or finished first place along those lines here. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like any of the San Antonio teams went very far. Unfortunately, New Braunfels Christian went out against Logos Academy 4-3, and then where was the other one here?
The Atonement.
The Atonement Academy, like I said here, lost 3-0 to the Bay, and then Holy Cross lost 4-0 to there. Is this? Oh, pardon me. This is girls Region 3 here. Hold on. Clicked on the wrong one here. So so we'll go backwards. Division 3 girls for that here. I was like, this doesn't sound right because Central Catholic should be here for that here. Sorry about that here. So JP, and that's us, right? The JPG is right. That's the
JP2 girls.
Yeah, JP2 girls. So they're going to be facing off against Cyprus, and then their arch enemy, the Convent, is on pace there. So for a possible four-peat match, because it's or three-peat match.
The double rubber match.
Yeah, along those lines. So moving to Division 2 on the girls' side here. Now I got looking at the right tabs here. So on here, you had St. Mary's Hall face Lutheran South. They lost 5-3. Any comments that you wanted to give if Coach Cano mentioned anything about that game that they played?
There was some little controversy on that game with the officiating, and their star player got 2 kind of bogus yellow cards, and really the ref was just not – from what I heard, like I said, they had some momentum. They were coming back. They were down 4-3, but like I said, the Lutheran got a goal in that kind of killed their little momentum. Like I said, they were making that comeback. So, like I said, hopefully, next year, like I said, St. Mary's will build off from this and hopefully be able to host a game next year so that they can have some better officiating too on that game.
Well, I won't get into it because I'm going to save this for if and when we have Coach Cano back on, just because I'm a little bit intrigued about the playoff structure for TAPS, because they had the fourth place team in the division played the second place team in the division. Here, Geneva School had to play a by district round. However, if you finished fifth, Hyde Park, they got to buy that first round to get to the area on here. But to me, the story is Geneva of Vernia. They beat Emory Weiner, 5-4, or pardon me, 4-0. Then they beat St. John's Paul the second, which was the first place team out of District 4, 7-0. Then they came back to beat Second Baptist High School 5-1 along those lines. So they're in the final. Also, the winner of the District 3 here, St. Michael's has also cruised pretty pretty convincingly 4-1 over Lutheran South and 4-1 also over the Woodland. At this time here, like I said here, we don't know who Southwest Christian High School and the Regents High School, the third place winner of District 3 or Region 3, who's won that match as of yet. But if you look at it here, you've already got the first and second place, and then the third place team in this district or region could possibly make it. And then, of course, you have Region 1, Grapevine of Coram Deo Academy through here. Any thoughts on Division 2, Region 3? Seems like a pretty strong conference.
How crazy is that? The district there at St. Mary's Hall's in, they may have 3 teams in the Final Four. I know that wouldn't happen in UIL, but for TAPS, that just tells you how much a level of competition they have in that girls district. Basically it's a playoff game, and those district games when they played. So, like I said, the district's gonna have possibly three chances to get a state title to represent the district.
Yeah, it's to me, like I said, you're going to have at least one in the championship game. I think St. Michael's, obviously looking at the records, has done very well in district. But don't sleep on Geneva. Like I said here, looking at their recent results, they are on a roll. Moving to Division 1, unfortunately for the San Antonio teams, they bowed out at the Elite 8 for that here. Antonian got past St. Paul, 3, I missed the score. I think it was 3-1. And then San Antonio Christian got past Concordia Lutheran 3-1. Unfortunately, this past weekend, they lost to St. Pius Catholic 1-0, and then St. Agnes Academy, beat Antonian 3-0. So, unfortunately for the Division 1, unlike the Division 2 and Division 3, San Antonio unfortunately is out at this point here. Any thoughts on Antonian or San Antonio Christian?
Good season for both teams. We just kind of wish they would go a little, extend a little longer. Hopefully, they'll build on that and reach the Final Four next year. At least one. For the way that it's set up, and hopefully we can have both of them facing each other in that Final Four semifinal.
Moving to the boys Division 3 here. On our side here, just make sure there wasn't anybody on here. Hill Country Academy, 3-1. Unfortunately, lost to Convent Christian Academy for that here. And then San Marcos Academy, unfortunately, beat Northland Christian 2-1, but lost to St. Thomas. JP2 is still in it on the boys' side. They beat Lutheran High North 3-2, and they'll play St. Thomas Episcopal. I believe it's today here, if memory serves me correct. The Atonement Academy, unfortunately, also lost here. So, thoughts on division on the TAPS Division 3. If memory serves me right, especially from last year, John Paul II and St. Thomas is a budding rivalry at this time of the TAPS playoff, and I think the last couple of years it's been split for that here. I know JP2 was able to get past them last year for that.
JB2 is looking to kind of equalize what the girls are doing, trying to get into that Final Four to represent, I guess, the San Antonio area, and the TAPS, the TAPS state title, state Final Four. So hopefully they have a good result tonight. Like I said, we'll hopefully pass it on. If anybody has results right now that's watching, send it on the chat so that way we know what's going on. But hopefully they'll get a win, and like I said, maybe they can get a state title just like the girls.
So moving over to Division 2, to me the story, especially for San Antonio, is TMI. They knocked off the first place winner in Region 1 for that here 1-0 after getting past Grace Community High School 1-0. They're playing the Brook Hill High School tonight here along those lines here with the chance to face the Prince of Peace Christian Academy here for that who are in the semifinals.
Yes.
Excuse me. St. Michael Catholic has came through on the other side here. And I'm just trying to see if anybody stands out. Regents. No, I think that's the only one here really is with the TMI, with the San Antonio connection here. Are you familiar at all with the Brook Hill or?
I'm not familiar with them, but like I said, hopefully TMI. Like I said, they had two big
They
wins.
surprised us last year as well. They went further than anticipated.
Yeah, because nobody thought they were going to make a run, and they're making a run, this year. Hopefully they can do it again and get into the final.
And then Division I, for TAPS. Let's see here. Antonian's still in it. They got past Monsignor Kelly Catholic 2-1.
Over the defending state TAPS champs.
They're playing from my understanding, a very tough St. Thomas High School who won Region 4 and who beat St. Dominic in the same district as Antonian 5-0 for that here. I guess the big news is Central Catholic got past St. Pius Catholic High School 4-2. Unfortunately, though, in the regionals, they lost 3-1 to the Village High School. So, unfortunately for Central Catholic, they got off to a rough start, got on a roll, did win, the area, but unfortunately couldn't get out of the regional. And we'll see if Antonian can get past the regional to still keep a San Antonio representative in.
Like I said, kudos to Central Catholic. Not a good start, but they were able to finish, win the district title, and unfortunately it came a little short. But hopefully next year they can build on that and get back to the final.
So moving to the UIL side here, we'll start Region 4 here. Bernie, what can you say? They're the class in District 26 on the boys' side here. Followed by Davenport, Fredericksburg, and Wimberley. I think the top 4 playoff teams there are pretty set here. Unfortunately, I don't think Bandera is going to be having enough time to fill in for their here. So, any thoughts on on who finishes second or third, or
I think it's going to come down to between Fredericksburg and Davenport. I don't know if they're going to be facing each other anytime soon, but if they are, whoever wins that game is more likely is going to get that second seed and be a lot better playoff spot. Maybe we'll be even a host as well. But what can you say about Bernie? Bernie, like I said, they're the class act, they're the defending champs, and hopefully we'll see how far they go in the playoffs this year, because I know they're going to have a big target on their back.
27 boys. Obviously, we talked with the Lavernia head coach here. 7-0-2 in district. Pleasanton. Eagles. The defending district champs. Right on their heels at 5-1. Hondo. For a first-year program, I think has been very successful. Somerset, Fox Tech, and even Uvalde. And even you can throw Hondo into that 3, 4, 5, 6 spot here. It'll be an interesting last probably week and a half of the season, I guess, at this point here to figure out who claims spots 3 and 4 on there here. And I think we all probably expect Lavernia to bring back the title after 3 years back to Lavernia. Is that correct?
Yeah, then Pleasanton, I think they'll have no problem clinching. But yeah, there's one game separating from 3rd and 6th place, and these last few games are gonna really mean something. Like I said, mean something about getting who gets in the playoffs and who doesn't. And like I said, it may come down to the very last game to see who gets in.
Moving on to District 26 girls, Wimberley, Bernie, and Davenport. It's a 3-legged race at this point, and it's not to say Canyon Lakes out, but I think with 3 teams to jump, I think it's probably going to be a little bit harder for them. But it'll be interesting to see, how the top three settle this. And if any teams kind of drop and maybe, Canyon Lake can sneak above and sneak in there. Fredericksburg's not out of it by any means for that here, for the playoffs here. But your thoughts on this very competitive district for District 26?
It's going to come down to like the last game. As far as Wimberley and Bernie, they actually faced each other last night at Bernie. I think they got a win, so they gave Wimberley the first district loss. So they're just a game behind them in the standings, and could end up tying for the district title. And like I said, depending on the head-to-head and the goal differential, it may come down to who gets that number one seed. Davenport, like I said, they're still in striking distance. Like I said, they're about a half a game, maybe a game and a half. They may need some help from Wimberley, a couple of ties or a loss to maybe claim that title. And then I think Canyon Lake, it's going to, between them and Fredericksburg, is going to come down who gets that fourth spot for the last place spot in that district.
Moving at Region 4, 27 for 4A here. Uvalde still 9-0, Pleasanton 9-1, Lavernia 7-3, and then it's going to come down to SA Young Leadership, Women's Leadership, Somerset for that last spot there. I'm not sure with Fox Tech's having 6 losses if they're going to have a room to kind of catch up from there. But to me, do you see anybody, whether it be Pleasant? Do you think Pleasanton can get past Uvalde, or you think Uvalde is going to be kind of the class of this division this year?
I think they've been the class, but if they're facing each other, they have one more round or play one more game against each other, Pleasanton can get that game, so they can tie for that district title. So like I said, it's going to look at the schedule, see where they're at. Lavernia, I think that should have no problem clinching that.
Yeah, I think they're locked into third at this point.
The 4th spot still kind of up in the air. I think even Fox Tech still has a chance, even though they're 2 games behind. I mean, anything can happen, but like I said, it's going to come down to Young Women's Leadership in Somerset. Like I said, Somerset, Young Women's Leadership, I think they'll probably get that leg up and more likely to get that 4th spot.
Moving on to 5A here. This is the Dripping Springs Invitational. And I joke about that here, but they're from everybody that I've talked to, just says that, especially, on the girls' side, that it's, they're one of the top teams in the state. I don't even think, 5A, 6A, 4A, that they'd be very competitive no matter where you placed them. Burning champion, Alamo Heights 2-3, and Canyon at 6-4-2, and Buddha, Johnson Jaguars 6-4-2 at 6-4-2, and then you got Kerrville at 6-6. So that 4th spot, to me, will be very interesting on who sneaks in and who just misses. You don't think Alamo Heights could slip back at all, do you? I know they got the ties here.
Game Friday night, and like I said, they just had a 2-0 loss last night to Bernie Champion, so that knocked them down to the third spot. And like I said, they have a big game Friday night against Dripping Springs, and if they lose that game and maybe Comal and Johnson get a win,
it puts them back in that hole.
Could be in danger of not making the playoffs. So it's a big game, like I said, for Alamo Heights. So at least maybe I think a tie against Dripping Springs will be something positive to keep them, within that spot. But it may come down, like I said, to the very flat, head to head. Who's going to come down? Like I said, don't count out Canyon. Canyon's got a really good team as well. I think more like I think Alamo Heights and Canyon are going to make the playoffs. Johnson maybe just probably a big game lose out by a game or a half a game.
And I don't know if you know this or how much you want to go into detail. What are the tiebreakers? Do you know? Is it? I know probably district is first, but after that, does it go to overall, or
they go head to head, and then goal differential?
Okay.
So that's how they normally. And if it's so tight, then they'll do the coin flip. So they do the Friday Night Lights coin flip.
All right, then moving on to 27, Jefferson, Edison, Brackenridge, Burbank, and Kennedy. Like I said, Jefferson and Edison, I think probably. Well, you can't throw out Brackenridge. They've got 9 wins as well. So, how do you kind of feel this one? I kind of felt that Jefferson was in the driver's seat the entire season.
Yeah,
but it's still close.
Yeah, I think eventually, Jefferson's playing tonight, so I know they had a big game tonight. So if they can get a win, they can try to separate themselves. I do know that they played Edison at the last game of their last district game of the season. So Edison can stay within striking range. We could end up having a split district title between both. Brackenridge, they're going to need some help. Maybe I know Edison to have a loss. The same thing with Jeff. Even Burbank too is also within. I mean, if Jefferson gets on a 3-game losing streak, Burbank can still overtake him too. So I know I saw Burbank play last night against Sam Houston right before the live feed. They struggled a little bit with Sam Houston. Sam Houston, they almost came back and rallied to tie that game, but they did not play a good second half. Burbank did, but I think eventually, it's going to come down to Jefferson and Edison. They could come down to that very last game to who wins the district title.
Moving to District 28, Southwest 9-0, Medina Valley, Southwest Legacy, and then McCollum. You give Floresville any shot, or do you think the top 4 is fairly set?
I think it might be fairly set. I think like I said, Southwest is pretty much they got that locked in. Medina Valley, I know they have a big game coming up with Legacy. That can determine who gets that second seed. And then I don't see McCollum, dropping out of that 4th spot. I think that they'll end up clinching that last playoff spot. I know Floresville was a shocker last year because they knocked off Jefferson as a 4 seed. But I don't see that this year. I think McCollum will take care of business and, lock up that last playoff spot.
Moving to 5A 26 boys, Dripping Springs, Alamo Heights, the 2 class teams, 3, 4, 5. And I guess you could even throw Buddha in there or Johnson Jaguars in there at 6. And even Bernie Champion, even though they've got an outside shot. I think it's a very outside shot, but technically speaking, nobody's pulled away for that 3rd or 4th slot at this point.
Yeah. Well, the big game Friday night, Alamo Heights at Dripping Springs, and can they pull off the upset and knock them off, and get closer, to that trying to tie for the district title. But those are probably my 2 locks already for the playoffs. But that 3, 4, and 5, maybe even the 6, it's like I said, that's going to come down, maybe to the last 2, 3, like I said, the final game of the second to last game. Like I said, Kyle Lehman's been the surprise. Last year they were towards the bottom and they were able to kind of bounce this year and be in contention. Same thing. Comau, I expected kind of Canyon to be a little bit better this year. But like I said, they're hanging in 4th. But, Kerrville, don't count out Kerrville. Like I said, if they can knock off Canyon and win some of the other games, they can clinch that last spot for the playoffs.
Are you surprised that Bernie Champion's still struggling this year?
Yeah, and I wonder if that has more to do with graduation. They may have a very young team. That's a possibility, or maybe injuries. Sometimes injuries do take a toll, on your season. And I expect a little bit more from Bernie Champion. I expect them to be probably maybe the 3rd best team, 3rd or 4th best team in that district. But yeah, to see them struggling this year it's a bit, it's a bit surprising. But hopefully, like I said, maybe next year they'll bounce back. Like I said, being a young team, they'll learn to get a lot of experience and turn things around. Especially next year, that Dripping Springs won't be in their district.
Moving to District 27, Lanier, Brackenridge, Sam Houston, Burbank, Edison at 6-5, half a game out at this point here from that fourth slot here. And even Kennedy, they're 2 games back, so the window's kind of closing. But to me, like Lanier, they've got a 2-game lead. According to the stats that I was able to pull up here, they got a 2-game lead in the standings for that here. So you think anybody catches Lanier, or is it really the race for that fifth fourth slot in the playoffs?
It's still, I don't think it's still over yet, because Brack and Lanier still have to play each other. So, and then Lanier had a shocking loss. One of the games that were expected to win, they had a loss. So, don't count. It's going to come down probably to the last couple games. I was at the game last night with Sam Houston and Burbank. They were tied, as far as the district record, and Sam Houston was able to down two players, because it had 2 players that got red carded. They came back in the penalty shootout, and they won 4-2. So they have the tiebreaker over Burbank and a game lead with them. So I did talk to Coach H yesterday. They're inching a little bit closer to getting into clinching a playoff spot. So I think the top 3 are probably going to end up being your top 3 in your playoffs, and then it's going to come down to maybe Burbank and Edison. I think Edison has been surprising teams, and I know had a little rough start, but they're starting to come back, and they come down. I think Edison might end up overtaking Burbank in that final spot.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
District 28 Southwest, in my opinion, has it locked up. But finishing, I guess 3, 4, 5, because Southwest Legacy 7-2-1. I think they're locked into the second slot as well. But Medina Valley, Harlandale, or Eagle Pass, right? Eagle Pass win at 5, 4, and 2. All kind of neck and neck there. Looking at the records, you would probably have to lean Harlandale. Probably should sneak back up to that third slot there. But your thoughts on the bottom half of this district as far as for the playoffs?
Like I said, I know Legacy has a good game coming up. I think on the 11th with Southwest. Hopefully, maybe they can get a win from that, and that'd be a good confidence booster for them going into the playoffs. But as far as the last few spots, I think it's going to come down to, like I said, those 3 teams: Medina Valley, Harlandale, CC Win. Medina Valley's been playing well, same thing as Harlandale. CC Win's been sneaking up on people, so don't write them off. If they can get a couple wins before the district ends, like I said, they can sneak in and get that 4th and possibly even that 3rd place spot.
Moving to 6A, Smithson Valley, 9-1-1. To me, Church Clemens, probably a surprise. I know they're a quality program, but how they got off to a slow start this year, out of district here, but they're 9-1-1 now. I think those are clear 1 and 2. We'll see who can win the district. 3 and 4, I think, as far as playoffs, I think it's kind of locked in with New Braunfels and Cibolo Steel. For that at 6, 3, and 2, but to me, I think it'll be interesting to see who finishes in the odd numbers and who finishes in the even numbers. Between these 4 clubs.
Yeah, Smithson Valley's had a little bump on the road. They had won 16 games in a row, and then that loss against New Braunfels really kind of rattled them a bit, and then they end up tying with Church Clemens last week. So, and that helped Clemens kind of tie them up in the district championship race. So it's going to come down to the last. I know that Smithson Valley did win last night against Southstand. They had a convincing win, so hopefully they get them back on track. I think Smithson Valley still has to play Cibolo Steel.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a gimme game. So, and especially with in playoff, like you mentioned, do I want to be on the 3 seed or on the 4 seed? Because, especially with District 28 6A, that 4 seed or that 3rd seed, it's going to be a doozy of a game. So, like I said, I think more likely those are your 4 teams that are going to be representing 27-6A for the playoffs. I don't see East Central catching up to either.
Right. Yeah. I think the top 4 is set on this one.
Yeah.
Speaking of 28, Reagan 10-0-2, Lee 8-1-2, Brandeis 6-1-3, and Johnson 7-2-2. When I was going through and updating it here from a couple of weeks ago, there are quite a few more draws, lately in this district, compared to previously. So, not a lot of movement per se. I think Brandeis moved up a little bit. I think from my recollection, and Churchill kind of slid down. But I was kind of surprised at the number of ties, or the draws that happened here. So I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but I think it just shows the depth of the conference. That especially how this is a very top heavy district.
Yeah, I mean Reagan's pretty much in full control right now in the district, but they still have 2 big matches coming up. One Friday night here at Ferris against Brandeis. If Brandeis can pull off a win, then they're back into that district championship race. With a half.
Well, it opens up for Lee as well.
It also opens up for Lee too to tie him up, and like I said, Reagan still has to play with Johnson as well. And I know Johnson was probably looking for some revenge, after that loss for the Indian Cup, and like I said, they can give him another loss, and that could end up giving Lee or even Brandeis the district title. So it's like I said, Reagan's not out of the woods yet. So, but if they can knock off Brandeis and they can knock off Johnson, they're pretty much they're deadlocked winning the district title.
So, let me ask you a question here because we're almost through it here. Do you think having a competitive district, because we're about a week and a half out from, the last week of the playoffs, do you think it's better to kind of have, where you're still fighting for everything? Or do you think it's maybe better where if you had things like a little bit settled here where maybe you could rest some players, control some minutes a little bit more? Do you think that's an advantage to either one, or you think it really, kind of varies on the team?
I think that varies on the team. If you're playing kind of district, try to get into it, maintain a playoff spot or get into the playoffs, you're going to be motivated. If you have, pretty much things like kind of wrapped up, kind of like Southwest has pretty much everything wrapped up, you still have to find a way to get motivated because, you don't want to go into the playoffs kind of with no little lethargic and so forth, because like I said, a 4 seed can beat a 1 seed.
This is high school.
And this is high school. You cannot take teams for granted. And like I said, we've seen some 4 seeds knock off some top seeds. Especially if you play in a district that basically is a playoff. Like here, especially here, this district is basically a playoff game every district game. So these teams are battle tested, and like I said, it's gonna get them ready for the long haul once they get into the playoffs.
Moving to 29, Harlan Hawks, I believe, has already clinched the district here. For that, I believe they tweeted that out last night. O'Connor, I think, safely locked into the second slot. 3, 4, and 5. I think you could kind of go through. Looking at the schedules, just looking at it here, I know Brennan right now is in the fourth place here, but I know they play O'Connor, they play Marshall, and then I want to say they play Taft or Holmes through here, where Stevens plays John Jay, Holmes, and Taft, and then Marshall, because they've got kind of a 2-game lead on it. I didn't really look at their schedule, but. To me, I think for District 29, it's about who can sneak into that 4th slot between Brennan and Stevens. I don't think Marshall falls down to there just based on form and from the time or two that I've seen them play. But for Stevens, you've got an opportunity. And it's not this. I know Stevens, Taft, and Just because they're close, it's a rivalry. John Jay and Holmes are not pushovers either. So, I live next to Stevens. That would be the school where my kids will be going. So I won't lie, I'm kind of rooting for Stevens. But how do you see this one shaking out?
Like you did mention about Brennan having the tougher route, so it's going to come down. Like I said, Brennan really needs to get a win against O'Connor. They really need to get a win over O'Connor, or even a tie over O'Connor. That helps because, as you know, you're not losing too many points to the teams, to the teams that are ahead of you. I think what hurts you if you lose to the teams below you, and those are the games you're expected to win. So, if Brennan can get a tie or even knock off O'Connor, like I said, O'Connor, they're basically stuck on that second spot. They may start, like you mentioned, resting some players and play some younger players, to just already get ready for the playoffs, kind of heal up. And Brennan could surprise them and steal one, and that'll help them maintain their lead. Stevens, like I said, I think there's their opportunity here to sneak in and get that fourth spot, like they did last year for the playoffs.
District 27 girls, Smithson Valley. I don't think it's official that they've got it locked up, but I think it's fairly close. New Braunfels, Cibolo, and I think even Shirts, where they've got the 2 games on Converse and East Central for that here. So I think your top 4 is kind of set on this district here. Any thoughts on the Lady Rangers or the Unicorns?
Smithson Valley, like I said, they've been my number 1 team for the Power 15 for our area. I think they pretty much got this locked in. Still a battle for the second, third seed. I think Cibolo wants to move up and get that second spot. Because like I said, you're going to play against 28 6A, which could be Reagan, it can be Clark, or it can be Madison, or it can be, like I said, you want to get the right matchup for you for that in that first round game. So, like I said, it's going to come down to the last few games for that, and I think Clemens shouldn't have no problem clinching that last playoff spot. I know they're about maybe 2 games behind Cibolo. Like I said, I think that if they can get some help, like I said, maybe they can sneak up and get that third spot. But I don't see Converse, actually Judson or East Central making a move and getting that final spot.
Moving to District 28, where it's craziness. Clark, Reagan, Johnson, top 3, then Madison, Lee, and Brandeis for that last spot. Like I said here, you can pick which one you want to go first, because they're both both sets are juicy to figure out on how this is going to work out.
Yeah, well, I went to the Clark Reagan game on Monday night, and it was basically like a heavyweight fight. But Reagan stole. Clark was undefeated, but Reagan stole one from them. They got an early goal and they maintained it. I did hear some things about some of the players maybe being a little bit tired, because some played in that morning for that ECNL in Houston. Like I said, I heard that from some of the people there at the game that stopped by to say hi. Could that affected, maybe Clark, even Reagan, as far as the level, kind of the play. But hey, Reagan was able to steal one, and they're a half a game behind Clark to get that district title. Same thing with Johnson. Johnson's got a showdown with Reagan again. They got to have to face each other, and that we'll see who it's going to come down. Like I said, come down to the last couple games to see who ends up getting that one spot. I think Madison. I think they're in a battle with Lee. That's also going to come down to the final ones, but I'm going to give Madison a little edge on that. I think they'll end up getting that 4th spot. But Lee's not going to roll dead. They're going to challenge them and see, and try to get that, try to hopefully get that final spot, see if they can get some favorable results. But that, like I said, this is probably one of the toughest districts in the state for girls soccer, hands down. I mean, you got 5-6 teams that can.
Well, even on the boys' side, it's very, very competitive as well. So, moving to the final district here, Brennan, O'Connor, Sorry, my cat's making. I'm not sure what he's doing. 1 and 2. Taft, I guess you'd probably say, is a solid third. Then it comes to Harlan, Stevens, and even John Jay, I guess it would still be in it. I know Harlan has the tiebreakers over Stevens. For that here, I didn't actually look at their schedule here to see how this would.
I think they make John Jay.
Well, we know Stevens plays John Jay, Taft, and what was the other team?
I believe
Taft, John Jay, and Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
The question is who's Harlan's last three? I can tell you here real quick here. NISD Athletics. Schedules. Girls. So Harlan plays Warren on the 15th. Clark Lander did Brandeis, Brandon Holmes, Taft, Connor Stevens. They don't play on the 12th.
I think spring. That's another factor with spring break coming up. That could kill some momentum for some of these teams.
And then they play. So Harlan plays. So they played 13 games, right? 10, 13, 12. So that's why they only have 2 games left. So they play Marshall on the 8th. They don't play that weekend for that here because there's 9 teams in the district. Then they wrap up against Warren.
Yeah. So they probably have the easier track to get in.
Where Stevens, as we discussed here, Taft on Friday for that here. And then John Jay on Saturday, the 12th for that here. And do they play here? Oh, and they also play O'Connor on the 8th for that here. So
they got a tough road.
And then home. So yeah, like I said, Harlan's definitely they got to play the games, but you'd favor Harlan probably sneaking into that 4th slot.
Well, I know Brennan. I think they played. Taft this past Tuesday, and they got the win. So they got a half a game lead over O'Connor. And actually, this Saturday at 12 at Ferris, we're gonna have Brennan versus O'Connor girls at 12 p.m. So that could be for the district title there. Whoever wins that game is gonna get the number 1 seed in the district more likely. As far as wherever the remaining games, like I said, they should be taking care of business for that.
So that's it as far as through the standings. Like I said, here we had a great interview with Coach Cronzo from Vernia. Talked TAPS playoffs and talked about the standings here for it here. I got to go rescue my cat. I think he got into a box here. If you want to start your final thoughts here for a second.
Sure. Like I said, just final thoughts. Like I said, prayers up to all the people in Ukraine. Everyone's hopefully safe. Also prayers to the Stanford player as well. Just looking forward for this weekend. There's going to be some great soccer games, some key matchups coming up. District titles are on the line. Playoffs are on the line. So you have an opportunity. Go check it out. Like I said, go support your local high school teams, and we look forward to see. Hopefully, like I said, a lot of these teams we see end up in the playoffs. We end up going to the Final Four in Georgetown, and hopefully bring back another state title like Lee did last year. So, like I said, big matchups coming up, and then also I do have a big trip coming up next week. So I'll be in Laredo next week. So I'll be over there. So I'll be broadcasting from over there in Laredo. So I'll be doing another little recruitment trip, and then hopefully, like I said, I'll have just be on the lookout for where we're going to live stream. Like I said, I'll have one on Friday. I do have a game already on Friday. I haven't told anybody yet, but just be on the lookout on our Twitter page. I'll be advertising that pretty soon. Keep you guys in suspense, and maybe even do a Saturday one too. We'll see. So may have 4 games in this week, so give everyone their bang for their buck. But I also want to thank everyone who watches our live streams, the games live, and do my best on the commentary. I do get excited on some of those. But nothing but positive feedback, and then also people coming up saying hi, they loving the show and all that. Thank you guys, for all the support that you're giving us to the roundtable here. So, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys there. As far as they're at some of the high school games and also the SAFC games as well.
So my final thought is going to be kind of a setup for Sunday. We're going to have Mr. OKC Energy, Cody Lorengi, goalkeeper, former goalkeeper of the Oklahoma City Energy, to kind of talk about his transition from playing at Toyota Field as a visitor to playing national team duty with Puerto Rico, to now where he's transitioned to the player agency role, and kind of that process, and maybe talk a little bit about the USL Players Association agreement and why that is so important. Also, we'll be discussing SAFC for that here. Unfortunately, just due to life events, none of us were able to attend the Tulsa match. So, unfortunately, from our side, there's not a lot that we can tell you about it. As we're just starting on it, and like I said here, San Antonio lost 1-0 along those lines for that here. And I know they play El Paso this week. Please, Yuma, don't take out anybody from San Antonio FC like you did at the New Mexico player, where you just left your side of the pitch and flew all the way across and took out some poor New Mexico player. But
why doesn't USL suspend him?
He didn't even get a red card.
Really?
No. I think the tackle. I will say this. I think the tackle looks worse because I don't think he had his studs up.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole issue is it's a friendly. I could see if it's a regular season, and most definitely if it's a playoff game. Because it was a hard tackle. I don't think it. Some people are saying it's kind of dirty. I don't think the studs were up, or else I think you would have got a red card on that here. And listening to Sirius Loco, I think it looked worse than what it actually was. Plus, New Mexico and El Paso, they're best friends, I guess you could say. But
still fighting who has the best tacos. It's still San Antonio, no matter what.
So, but yeah, they're there. MLS kicked off this week. So, like I said here, it was kind of fun to have soccer on.
Vela with a hat trick.
Pardon me?
Vela with a hat trick for LAFC.
Yeah.
And then
it was just good. It was good to have soccer on. I guess just my quick quick thought on Hector Herrera coming to the Dynamo.
I had a feeling that was going to happen soon. I think Atletico Madrid, right? I think they're going to start cleaning house a bit. I think they're a little bit older, and I think they're going to go to a younger movement. I think they're going to try to build around Joao Felix. And then I think Simeone is probably not going to end up coaching there. I think he's going to get, unless by some miracle, if he wins Champions League, they'll keep him. But if he doesn't, like I said, they're way behind Real Madrid as far as the La Liga. But as far as Champions League, if he gets bounced out, I think at the end of the season, I think this will be Simeone's last hurrah with them, and he'll probably end up seeing them in Germany or in England. But like I said, I think Atletico's already kind of realizing, hey, I think it's time for like a rebuild. We don't want to end up like a mess like Barcelona and so forth, and end up being broke. So I think they want to start building around their younger players. But that's good for Houston, and they need to sell tickets. So having Hector is going to help them sell tickets.
Well, I do also think that there's a second move that's coming. I know it was rumored today with was it Diego Lainez? I think he's with Real Betis.
Yeah.
Along those lines. And from my understanding, he's not really getting any playing time. There's whispers that may be coming now, depending on it's the silly season. You get people saying it's true, not true. Same thing happened with Hector Herrera as well. Hey, he'll never come over. But Diego, from my understanding, is not my understanding. He is a lot younger for that here. But to me, if he was to come back, because he is a Mexican international, could you see him going to MLS? And if he did, would that hurt his ability to get onto the Mexican national team?
I don't think that'll hurt him in the national team. I just think it's a step back. I think Betis is making a mistake not playing him, and I think there was a mistake for him to go there. I know he came over from Club America, and if he's gonna get loaned out, I think Club America will probably try to get him first. I think that makes more sense. Going back to Liga MX to get some playing time, and then going back. Or even going to Portugal or going to Holland. I think that's where he should have played first. That way he can get grooming, kind of like what we do with Gallegos is getting his playing time in Norway. So I think he needs to develop a little bit more. So hopefully he goes. Like I said, hopefully he goes to Portugal or Holland instead of going to MLS, because I think it's a little regression. But he'll get his playing time.
But here's where I'll kind of counter on this. And Houston is finally starting to act like a big market club, because I guess they gave $6.5 million, I think is the reported thing, for Hector, which was quite a bit more than what other teams were willing to offer. If Houston's willing to kind of open up the pocketbook with bringing him and if they brought Herrera and Diego in. To me, assume, and this is the Dynamo, so take it with a grain of salt here. If they could market right, it might be something to where the ability to market stateside here, because let's be honest, as much as I'm a U.S. men's national team here, the number one team in the United States is the Mexican national team. So if you could come in here, and if Houston with their new ownership could market him right, and pay a decent amount for that, probably above average is what they'll have to do to do that. I think for Houston to be able to bring him in, rebuild that confidence, because obviously for him sitting on the bench, it didn't go right. He may have made the wrong decision. Come back here, do 1 or 2 great seasons, that could propel him back over to Europe, and also build, and I hate saying this, but build his brand between the United States and Mexico, a lot more than he can do over in Europe. So that would be my only counter to that.
The one thing that probably maybe do is try to schedule him with Club America, have the brothers against each other, because his brother does play with Club America. And
let's don't forget, MLS in the United States are doing the Leagues Cup, so there's going to be a lot more commingling between Liga MX and MLS. So I think it was probably, and this is probably something you can speak. I think previously, for a Mexican international, playing in MLS was not a positive thing. In fact, from my understanding, if it was close, if you were playing in MLS, that was seen as a negative. I don't think that's quite the case anymore for that here. I'm not saying MLS has closed the gap with Liga MX by any means, but I think they're at least in the discussion.
It's more. I know MLS is a little bit more competitive now. I think there's a big difference now. So, like I said, hopefully, if that's true, Houston, if it's gonna, I don't know if they'll buy them. They probably may get a loan. Try to get a loan for Linus, because Betis probably will want to get him back. If he does well, that way they can plug him in. Or I don't think they want to lose him and that investment to Houston Dynamo, selling him to some other European team and so forth. So I think it could be a good thing for him, but I still kind of want him to stay over there, but more with one of the lower European leagues, with either Portugal or Holland. But if he does come, I mean, it'll be great for the city of Houston. And also,
and just to reiterate, I'm not saying that he is coming along those lines here, but I do know with if you followed Houston's social media, and this was reported by, somebody outside of Houston initially, So there may be at least some smoke now, whether, is the smoke coming from the agent, trying to press things, to try to get more playing time or move, who knows? But to me, if I'm Houston, if you want to, get rid of the orange seats and actually put people in them, if you could bring in Hector Herrera and Diego in, you got to admit that's going to draw in the Mexican fan base there in Houston, for that here, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's what they need. I think that's when Houston's been lacking, kind of like that star power. I don't think they have had maybe the last one is maybe Kubo Torres, but he isn't really one packing the seats, or DeMarcus Beasley. So I think they need I think they did do a good splash with Eric Herrera, but they can get Linus, it's going to be, and then it's going to make it more competitive too. So that's going to help them as far as trying to maybe get into the playoffs and, like I said, fill up the seats on there. And I do have also some not breaking news, but earlier in the day for my club team, Club America, they dismissed Solari after a bad eight games of not winning a game. So I'm kind of sad about that. But that brings up, with the Mexican national team, if Tata doesn't get it done, do you go to now? You have Solari.
That's coming up soon too, right?
24th, yeah, March 24th.
So a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so Solari's right there, kind of saying, like, could he? There's been rumblings about him maybe becoming the new Mexican national team coach, which is a possibility. So we'll see how that turns out. So a lot of things going on with soccer right now.
A lot of things, and we're not even talking a lot of San Antonio FC. Part of it's just because they're not giving a whole lot of information out at this point, and it just it is what it is. I know some people were sawing, that 538 thinks that we're the favorite, as far as odds to win, but it'll be interesting. And I said it in our private chat, but I don't like the black on black. I don't like San Antonio FC's Twitter profile pic with the black on black on there, because when I initially look at it, all I see is a black hole, a black circle. But do you want to thank everybody? Go ahead.
Or the Emperor from Star Wars to come out.
Do you want to give a huge thanks to Coach Carranza, for coming on, and obviously thank him and his family, because he mentioned both his sons and daughters both have followed him in the Army. Navy would have been a better choice, but hey, it's we're all on the same team at the end of the day for that here. But do you want to thank him for his time? Like I said, it was an outstanding conversation. If you would like to come on, reach out to Rafa or me, and like I said here, we can definitely hook you up. A guest appearance here, for that here. Hopefully, this will be something that we'll do more next season, where I think we've decided, with the split schedules, even though it doesn't reduce the time frame of the shows like we thought, but
it's more informative. So everybody more bang for their buck.
It's a good conversation, and like I said, I'm not one to. I think we push through the standings and stuff like that faster than we normally do. But like I said, if it's an interview with somebody, as long as the conversation's going, I'm not going to cut them off. I just that's not the type of host I am. So, but do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're in the Lavergne area, go support the boys and the girls teams. Both of them are doing well. Playoff time is coming up for UIL. TAPS is already going on, and we'll see if some of the San Antonio teams make it past tonight into the semifinals. Thank you for everybody tuning in, and what's life without goals?